Hello and good evening, class. Yes, this is Wausau Distance Education Center here in Silico. This is PLAR History and Geography. My name is Jonathan and I am your teacher. Yes, we got Lillian joining us. Thank you, Lillian, for joining us. Can you hear me, Lillian? And we also got Rosaline on joining us as well. Thank you. Can you guys hear me over in Waterman?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yes, I have received both of your assignment 1 and 2, which is great. There's no problem there. I have marked that. I have sent your mark sheets over to your DEC. If you guys have an email account or a Facebook, let me know and I can also give you your mark that way as well. If not, just talk to your DEC. They should have your mark there. They'll print it off and show it to you. I also gave you feedback as well. If there's any questions, any difficulties, anything, again, just let me know. But so far, you guys are on the right track. Again, just a reminder to all my students, continue to work on those assignments. Once they are done, you can submit them to me and I will mark them and I will give you guys feedback and let you know how you're doing so far. Okay. Again, on my screen, you'll see my study guide or my course syllabus cover page. Again, it has all of my contact information listed. Again, feel free to call me at my office. My extension is 2221. Email me at jho@nnec.on.ca. You can add me as a friend at jhowasa. I also post my lessons on my YouTube channel at jhowasa. Again, nothing new there. And yeah, that's that for my housekeeping items. So today, class, yes, thank you for joining. We are continuing looking at the history portion of our lesson. Okay, so today we are looking at Canada's involvement in the Second World War. Okay, so again, today, very short lesson, but depending on how much time we have left, we may even finish this section off, okay? So yes, we are entering week 3. My goal is to finish the history portion by the end of next week. That way we can switch gears and look at geography, but we'll see how time goes with us, okay? Are there any questions about anything, any difficulties about anything that you guys want to talk about before we begin today's lesson? All right, if there's no question, we shall get started. All right, class. So yes, we are starting a brand new lesson today. So we wrapped up lesson 1 last class where we went over assignment 3. So we're gonna continue moving along and looking at Canadian history. Okay, but we're starting a new topic on Canada and the Second World War. Again, after today's class, I will go over assignment 4. Okay, assignment number 4. Go over those questions to let you know my expectation for those. Okay, but yes, for lesson 2, yes, we are covering the Second World War time period, which lasted from 1939 to 1945, and we're also looking at what happened after the Second World War, going into 1960s as well. So yes, if you recall from last week, we talked about Canada during the 1920s and 1930s. If you have missed that, again, feel free to go back to my YouTube channel and you can check out those lessons, okay? But yes, we are starting the Second World War today on lesson number 2. All right, so again, yes, Canada and the Second World War. Again, just a reminder, it lasted from 1939 to 1945. Let's see if we can make this a bit bigger. Hopefully that's better and everyone can see that. Okay, so just a little fun fact. During this time period of 1939 and 1945, during the Second World War, total killed in by bombs or combat or by invading armies or cons concentration camps. Okay, there were about 55 million deaths. Okay, 55 million people died during this time period. Okay, lots of death. Okay, little fun fact right there. Okay. Um. So before we begin, we need to know, what we should know, how the Second World War started. Okay, so we're going to talk about what led to the Second World War. Okay, so again, our learning goal for today class is that by the end of today's class, you'll have an understanding of Canada's role during the Second World War. Okay, we'll learn about how Canada's involvement in the Second World War is different from World War One. Okay, well, you will also learn about what the Canadian government did for Canadians during this war as well. Okay, yes, on my slide right here it says what led to the Second World War. How did it all started? Okay, so if we go back, okay, think back to what happened after World War One. If you recall, the Treaty of Versailles was signed by numerous countries. Okay, remember that the Treaty of Versailles goal was to prevent future wars, chaos, conflicts from happening. Okay, remember that World War One took place. We don't want any more conflict or wars taking place. Remember that the Treaty of Versailles also blamed Germany for all of its chaos and for causing the war, etc. Okay? As a result of that, Germany went into a depression. Yes, Germany went into a depression. They had unemployment. Okay. Not a factor because of this unemployment was the influence of the stock market crash. If you remember that during our last week lesson. So again, that influence North America, Canada, United States due to the stock market crash. It also impacted countries such as Germany and Europe as well. So yes, Germany went into a dark period after World War One where they had unemployment and depression. Okay. So what happened was that there was this man, and his name was Adolf Hitler. Okay, you may recognize his name. Um, okay, Hitler. Okay, this man named Hitler um, started to step up and gave Germany hope, voice of reason. Okay, he was people started to believe in Hitler again. He was the voice of reason, gave Germany hope. Okay, he promised that Germany could be bigger and powerful once again. Okay, they can step away from this dark age period. Okay, so Germany during this time period, Germany's government was fascism. If you not recognize what fascism is like a government that's ruled by authoritarian and nationalism, dictatorship leader, okay, ruled by one person. In this case, it will be Hitler. Okay, he formed the Nazi Party. Okay, and then because of this vision that he promised the citizens of Germany, people started to believe in him. Okay, due to all his positive words and wisdom. As a result, he was voted into power in 1930. He created lots of propaganda. He promoted that the Jews cheated the country with false advertisement, which is not true. He believed that Germany was the best ethnicity. Okay, they were the best race. Nothing else matters except if you were German. Okay, this is what was going on during Germany during this time period. Okay. Again, this is just some background content that I'm providing so that we have an understanding what caused and what led to World War One. Okay, just a few notes. I am on page 12 of your textbook. Okay, page 12 of your textbook, where it says Lesson 2, the Second World War and beyond. Okay. All right, continuing. Yeah, so we're going to continue to talk about Germany. Uh, Germany, during this time period, just before the start of the Second World War, Germany invaded and entered. Okay, they invaded countries such as Austria, Czechoslovakia. Okay, remember how, again, think back for a couple weeks ago, how we talked about the Treaty of Versailles. How, remember that treaty? It noted that it blamed Germany for causing World War One. Okay, it noted that Germany or any other countries could not invade other countries. Okay, that was part of their agreement. As a result, Germany broke that treaty. Okay, Germany broke that treaty. They broke that agreement. They broke that promise. Okay, they entered and they invaded countries such as Austria and Czechoslovakia and other countries as well. As a result of this, the rest of Europe, okay, countries in Europe was like, whoa, what's going on here? What's happening? Okay, they saw this as a threat and noted that Germany must stop invading, stop entering other countries. But Germany didn't listen, and they continued to invade countries such as Poland, France, and later on Russia. Okay, so by Germany invading other countries, they saw this as a threat. Britain declared war on Germany on 1939, okay, which marked the Second World War. Okay, Britain declared war on Germany. That is how World War II started. Okay. Are there any questions so far? Does that make sense? Again, that was just a bit of background content of how the Second World War started. Okay, how the Second World War started. Okay, so now let's look at Canada perspective. What was Canada like during the Second World War? What did Canada do? Okay, so now we're looking at Canada's involvement during the Second World War. Okay. Hello, Delilah. Thank you for joining again. Good to see you with us. Yes, so Canada and the Second World War. Okay, so please note, remember that again. Think back to World War One and how Canada joined the war. Remember that Canada was strongly linked to the British Empire. Remember that? Yes, remember that. Okay, remember that Canada was a country of the British, well, was part of the British colony, part of the British Empire. So whatever Britain and British did, Canada joined as well. This is different. World War II was different. Okay, remember that this is different. Canada declared war themselves. Okay, Canada declared war themselves. No one forced Canada to join. Okay, Canada declared war themselves. Okay, similar to what Canada and Canadians did back home during this time period, during this war, similar to World War One and the home front. Canadians joined the war because the Depression left them with no jobs. Okay. Okay. Remember that we had a depression going on here in Canada. Many Canadians lost their jobs. As a result of this, many Canadians joined the war effort. Okay? Again, just a reminder, I'm on page 12 of your textbook right now, page 12. Okay? Canada declared war themselves. They were not forced like World War One, because Canada right now is seen and recognized as its own nation. Okay, Canadians joined the war because simply the depression left them with no jobs. All right, arsenal of democracy. Arsenal of democracy. Yes, you'll see this fancy term come up again in your assignment. So let's talk about what arsenal of democracy means. Okay, very, very similar like we talked about to World War One. Canadians back home here in Canada, okay, they were a huge help. They produced weapons and they provided food for our troops overseas. Okay, again, we Canadians back home, they produced weapons, food for our troops overseas. Okay, arsenal of democracy, which means that Canadians back home in Canada, they were a great help to the war effort. Okay, we did a lot of help. We were significant in the war efforts. Okay. Again, you'll see this fancy term of arsenal of democracy highlighted in your textbook. Again, it is on page 12. It is highlighted. It is bolded. Okay. So again, you'll see this term come up again in your assignment. Okay, arsenal of democracy. Okay. All right, continue along. So class, you may notice that there are lots of definitions and terminology that needs to be go over. Okay, so next we're going to talk about Camp X. Okay, again, I'm still on page 12 of your textbook. Okay, Camp X. Again, we're looking at Canada's involvement during the Second World War. So Camp X, what was Camp X? So Camp X opened in 1941 and it lasted for a 5-year period, closed in 1946. So Camp X, okay, I'm gonna put a little star beside it, note that it is significant. Okay, so Camp X, as you can note right here, it's a secret commando training institution. Okay, Camp X is a secret commando training institution. In other words, it trained secret agents, spies, and assassins to fight, for example, German troops. Okay, so think of it as like a school or an institution or a place or program that train people, special techniques or tactics. Okay, train secret agents, spies, assassins to fight German troops, for example. Okay, there are more than 500 people that train at this institution called Camp X. Okay, it was the first secret agent school in North America, only one in the Western Hemisphere. So in Camp X, they learn, for example, right here that I note, okay, secret codes, okay, how to enter buildings, climbing cliffs, how to use all these different kinds of weapons, getting on and off trains, crossing the landscape at nighttime. Okay, these are just some examples of what they learn, what they train during at Camp X. Okay, it is located in Canada. Yeah, that's seen from a textbook. Secret base near Oshawa, Ontario, which is located in southern Ontario. Okay, so Camp X. Okay, secret commando training institution that trains agents, spies, assassins how to fight. Again, different tactics, you know, punching, kicking, jabbing, secret codes, how to enter buildings, cliffs, climbing, weapons, you name it. Okay, this is all they learn. Okay, so for example, the Canadian RCMP police, okay, or federal police institution, they train, for example, at Camp X. Okay, the FBI in the States train at Camp X, for example. Okay, this is how advanced and develop skills that was learned at Camp X. Okay, any questions so far, class? Any confusions? Am I going too fast? If it doesn't make sense, again, let me know. I can clarify it or explain it in a different way. But yes, Camp X. You'll see it in your assignment. All right. So let's continue talking about Canada during the Second World War. For right now, we're going to talk about this man right here. This fella right here. And his name is Mackenzie King. Mackenzie King. You may recognize this face, this individual, this man right here. Okay. He is on our $50 Canadian bill. Okay, so if you have a $50 Canadian bill on you in your wallet, he is on this bill. Okay, so yes, you may recognize him. Mackenzie King was Canada's prime minister during this time period. Okay, during the Second World War. Okay, we have talked lots about Canadian prime ministers, but yes, Mackenzie King was Canada's prime minister during the Second World War. Okay, why was he important? And it mentioned it in your textbook on page 12. It continues on page 13. Okay, so he did three things. He did three things that helped Canadian citizens and families during this time period. Okay, let's I know that Lillian left and joined us again. Again, yes, Mackenzie King created three things. That's the number 1, 2, and 3. Again, these three things are significant. You'll see it in your textbook. So let's put a little star beside it to help us remember. So Mackenzie King did number 1. He created the Unemployment Insurance Act in 1940. He created the Unemployment Act Insurance in 1940. What that was that Canadian citizens were able to collect unemployment paid for a period of time, provided that they had worked before becoming employed. So, for example, if you worked, you lost your job, you got fired, or whatever, if you could prove or provide that you had worked before, you could collect something called the Unemployment Insurance Act. Okay, which means that the Canadian government will pay you for a period of time. Okay, you can collect money for a period of time, provided that you had work or had worked experience before. Okay, that is what the Unemployment Insurance Act was. And yes, Mackenzie King created this act. Number two, Mackenzie King created something called the Family Allowance Act in 1944. Okay, the Family Allowance Act in 1944. What this was, okay, class, was that family or children, okay, can collect something called baby bonus. Baby bonus. Okay, so basically what that means is that a family, the more kids or children they have, the better. They can collect something called the baby bonus, okay, which is basically free money, okay, depending on how many kids you have. For example, if you have 5 kids, you can collect more baby bonuses, okay, compared to a family with 2 kids, okay. So baby bonus, okay, pretty much free money. That free money that's given by the Canadian government helps family to pay for basic essential needs such as food, clothing, and shelter. okay, for during this time period. Okay, does that make sense? So family with children's can collect something called baby bonuses, and with this free money, it's supposed to provide family with basic needs such as food, clothing, and shelter. Okay, and lastly, number three, what Mackenzie King did while he was our prime minister, yes, he did something called victory bond. He also created victory bonds. Similar to what was happening in World War One, victory bonds was that its goal basically for the victory bonds was that its goal was to help raise money for war efforts. So Canadian citizens could borrow money at a low interest rate. So you purchase a victory bond. Then after the war, you can cash in your victory bond for cash in for principal plus interest. Okay, so you can gain interest money back if you purchase a victory bond. Okay, so these are the three acts or three measures that Mackenzie King created. Okay, I'll repeat them again. Okay, number one, Unemployment Insurance Act. Two, Family Allowance Act. And number three, victory bonds. Okay, this is what Mackenzie King, our Prime Minister, our Canadian government during this time period created or implemented during this time period. Very, very significant. Very, very significant. That is why he is on our $50 Canadian bill. Okay. Questions about Mackenzie King before we continue on? All right. All right. So we're going to continue on. If there's no question, I am on page 13 now. We're going to look at another term or a group of people called the constituous objectors. Conscientious objectors. Okay? Really funny how to pronounce it. So what this group of people were was that they were not in agreement to go to war. Okay? Not in agreement to go to war. These group of people, okay, they didn't want to go to war. Okay? They refused. Okay? They said no. Okay? They said no. They didn't want to go to war. Okay? A big no to war. Okay? They refused to engage in war battles or war conflict. Why? Could be for many reasons. Most of the reasons were based on deep personal reason. Okay? Ethical reason, religious reasons, or moral reasons. Okay? They just did not believe in going to war or fighting wars or even supporting wars or conflicts. Okay? Just basically no. So for examples of this type of constituous objectors were Mennonites, Amish, and Jehovah's Witnesses. Okay? Just some examples. Okay? They believe that Christians should be neutral in war conflicts. Okay? They didn't took a side, okay, where they in support of Germany or in support of Britain, for example. They consider themselves, for example, as neutral. They didn't want to engage. They simply said no. Okay, not in agreement to go to war. They refused. Just no. Okay, again, constituous objectors. Okay, again, you'll need to know who this group of individuals are and what their goal and what their purpose is. Hence why I put a little star beside. Okay. Questions so far before we continue class? I believe we're almost at the end of this lesson. And I'll get to assignment 4 very, very shortly. But before we do that, again, I'm going to talk about indigenous history or what First Nations, Aboriginal were like during the 1940s or during this time period. Okay, just to put into content and perspective. Again, this is not in your textbook. Again, I'm just showing it, providing it with more details. Okay, so Canadian government ignored treaty promises. Okay, again, the Canadian government and First Nations population, they had a treaty going on that was signed, but it was ignored by the Canadian government. Okay, after World War II, for example, there were greater political consciousness within First Nations in terms of Canada as a whole. Okay, so after World War II is when people started to see First Nations political concerns. Okay, there were increase of Canadian awareness about Aboriginal issues. Okay, again, you start to see a progress developing with indigenous populations or Aboriginal people. Okay, remember how they were really ignored, not really focused upon. But after World War II, okay, started in the 40s, um, there was an increase of Canadian awareness with Aboriginal issues. Okay, just keep that in mind. Okay. Okay, are there any questions about uh, what we just talked about today in terms of Canada's role in the Second World War? Okay, remember that our learning goal today was learn how Canada's involvement in the Second World War was different from World War One. We looked at Canada or Canadian government, what the Canadian government did for Canadians during World War Two. Okay, again, very, very short lesson. Okay, um, so right now I'm going to go over question on assignment 4. Then I'm going to start and I'm going to continue. Okay, don't go anywhere yet. Okay, class, don't go anywhere yet. We'll still have about 25 minutes together. Okay, so don't go anywhere yet. Okay, so yes, I'm going to go over questions on assignment 4. I'm going to start the next half of World War II. Okay, and I will give class and students a bit of time to complete these questions as we go. Okay, so again, don't go anywhere yet. We still got lots to learn. Okay, so yes, assignment 4. So class, um, if you have been following along and been working on your PLAR history and geography assignments, you should be done up to assignment 3. Okay, assignment 1, assignment 2, and assignment 3 should be all been done. If they are, please send them to me ASAP so that I can mark it, enter it in our system, and give you feedback to let you know how you are doing, or how you can improve. Okay, very important. Okay, if you are not done assignment 1, 2, or 3, that is okay. Please continue to work on those assignments. Okay, again, if you are stuck, having any difficulties, again, don't be discouraged. Remember, I am here to help. Okay, just let me know. I'm here to help. Okay, I will point you in the right direction. I will guide you on where to find the answer, etc. Okay, but please continue to work on these assignments. I know that some students are maybe taking more than one courses, which is fine, which is great. Some may be working, some have families, so I understand that. Okay, but please continue to work on these assignments when you have the chance. All right, okay, question number 1 of assignment 4. What was the main reason Canadian citizens joined the Second World War? Okay, very straightforward. Again, all these answers are things that we talked about in today's class. Okay, again, they're also in your textbook. Okay, so make sure you go back to your textbook and read it. It provides you with additional information along with my additional information as well. Okay, again, question number 1 was, what was the main reason Canadian citizens joined the Second World War? Okay, that's of 2 marks. Remember, full complete sentences. Okay, so for example, you can write Canadian citizens join the second and so on. Okay, so for example, you don't have to write this. Okay, Canadian citizens joined the Second World War because blank. Okay. Question number 2. Why was Canada known as the arsenal of democracy? Okay, again, we talked about it in today's class, what that means. Okay, why was Canada known as the arsenal of democracy? Again, you can start off by Canada was known as the arsenal of democracy because Canada did this, and that. Okay, for example. Okay, I have 2 marks. Remember, full complete sentences with lots of details. Okay. Question number 3. What was Camp X? Again, we talked about today. Camp X. Okay, what was it? Okay, what was its goal? What did it do? What was its purpose? Who went to Camp X, for example? Okay, what was Camp X? Okay, 2 marks. 2 marks. Okay, question number 4. Big one. 6 marks. 6 big marks. Okay, question number 4 asks, in order to ensure Canadians had their basic needs met, the Canadian government, led by Mackenzie King, took specific steps. Name 3 measures created to provide financials to families and describe their purpose. Okay, remember our friend here, our little Canadian Prime Minister, Mackenzie King? What did he do? What did he do? He did 3 things. Remember that? He did 3 things. Okay, this question asked to name those 3 things. Okay, not just 1 or 2, name 3, all 3. Okay, name all 3 and describe their purpose. Okay, in other words, what was his purpose? What was his goal of each one? Okay, very simple. A mark for naming the measure and another mark for naming the goal and its purpose of that measure created by Mackenzie King. Okay? 6 marks right there. And last question, question number 5. Who were the conspicuous objectors? Who were the conspicuous objectors? Okay, we talked about this group of individuals. Who were they? Okay, what made them stand out? What was their goal, what their purpose? Okay, what did they fight for? What did they agree with, for example? Okay, who were the conspicuous objectors? Okay, and that right there, class, is assignment 4. Very straightforward, very simple, out of 14 marks. Okay, nothing huge. Okay, out of 14 marks. Okay. Are there any questions, Delilah, Lillian, and Roslyn, about anything we talked about so far? Does everything make sense so far?
Yeah.
Perfect. And who was that, by the way? Was that Lillian who said yes?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for replying. Okay. So again, very straightforward. No surprises. Okay. Assignment 4. If there's no questions or nothing, I'm going to continue talking about Canada during the Second World War, if that's okay with everyone. I hope. Okay. So we are going to continue right here. Okay, so we probably won't finish this lesson today. So we'll get through as much as we can. So what I'm going to talk about right now, okay, class, is the second half or second portion of Canada's involvement in the Second World War. So the learning goal for this portion is understand Canada's role in the Second World War and Japan involvement affecting Japanese Canadian. Okay, and we'll be also looking at what took place, what happened after the Second World War in terms of political change and defense purposes. Okay, but yes, we're going to talk about Japanese Canadian, okay, and their involvement in the Second World War. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about right now, okay, class, will be in regards to assignment 5. Okay, assignment 5. Okay, so let's start this right now, and we'll see how far we get. We won't finish it, but you can continue starting on assignment 5 if you have finished assignment 4, for example. Okay. All right, so let's continue talking about World War II. So yes, World War II. There was this group known as the Axis power. Okay, so the Axis powers consisted of countries of Germany, Japan, and Italy. Okay, Axis power consisted of Germany, Japan, and Italy, and they fought, for example, the Allies, known as France, Britain, Canada, etc. Okay, United States at this time period, during this time, they were neutral. Okay, they were not involved in World War II just yet. Okay, United States, okay, they were neutral. They just watched on. They watched as everyone fought each other, killed each other, and etc. Okay, United States were not involved yet. Okay, however, United States did provide supplies and aids to Britain. So in a way, they did help Britain, okay, in terms of the war efforts by giving them supplies and aids, okay, and they started to cut off ties with Japan, okay, but they started to support and help provide supplies to Britain, okay, even though United States were officially neutral and just watched on during this war, okay. So what happened? So something called Pearl Harbor, an event, an attack that took place in the United States. Yes, Pearl Harbor. You'll see this term come up again, I believe. Why it's significant. So Pearl Harbor. So what Pearl Harbor, or the attack of Pearl Harbor, I should say, was that Japan, they made a surprise attack on the United States. Yes, they just attacked the United States. They bombed the United States Navy base known as Pearl Harbor in 1941. This caught the United States off guard. They didn't see that coming. Okay, why Japan attacked the United States was that its goal was to stop the United States from entering the war. Okay, it was supposed to stop the United States from entering the war. However, that didn't happen. Nope, that didn't happen. Okay, but Japan attacking the United States declared war on Japan. That is how the United States got involved. Yes, the United States declared war on Japan because Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. Okay, I am on page 13 of your textbook, okay, class, near the bottom. Okay, you see that Pearl Harbor is in bold and highlighted. Okay. As a result, by United States declaring war on Japan, Germany declared war on United States. So yes, now everyone's involved now. Okay. So that's why Pearl Harbor was significant. It kind of marked why United States entered the war and declared war on Japan. Okay. All right, so let's talk about Japanese Canadian. Okay, so that's to switch gears a bit. Let's go back to Canada and see what was happening in Canada in terms of Japanese Canadian citizens. Okay, so the Canadian government became suspicious. Okay, became suspicious of citizens who were either Japanese, Germans, or Italians. Okay, remember how we talked about the Axis power? Okay, so let's go back a couple slides. Okay, remember this? Axis power consisted of Germany, Japan, and Italy. Okay, so as a result of the Axis power, the Canadian government became suspicious on Japanese, Canadians, Japanese, Germans, and Italians. Okay, the Canadian government thought that these citizens of these countries will become spies in Canada. Okay, they have to become spies in Canada. Canada felt that Japan would cross the Pacific and eventually attack Canada. They thought that, oh my gosh, Canada will be next, okay, to be under attack. Okay, Japanese Canadian. Okay, so what happened if the Canadian government started to become suspicious of, for example, Japanese Canadian? Okay, so what happened was that, yes, racism took place and unfair treatment took place. Okay, so during this time period of the Second World War, if you were a Japanese Canadian, you were faced with racism and unfair treatment. Okay, you are not treated equally. Okay, um, yes, you're not treated equally. You are discriminated based on their race of being Asian or Japanese Canadian. Okay, so what happened was that whoever was a Japanese Canadian citizen, um, they were moved away from the from British Columbia, BC, West Coast. Okay, so a lot of these Japanese Canadian lived in British Columbia along the coast. Okay, along the coast near the ocean. Okay, they were eventually moved to British Columbia interior in the inland mainland. Okay, their husband was separated from the family. The government took their properties, such as the clothing or the radio or any technology they may have. The government took their properties and sold them to help fund the war efforts. Okay. In your textbook, it talks about David Suzuki, famous Canadian environmentalist. Okay, and talks about how he was faced with racism and during this time period growing up. The Canadian government did not apologize to the unfair treatment of Japanese Canadians during the Second World War, not until the late 1980s. Okay, not until the late 1980s. Okay, so on page 15, okay, class, so if you have your textbook in front of you, on page 15, it talks about, there's a little article that I want everyone to read. Okay, very important. It talks about all the points that we just talked about in terms of racism and unfair treatment of Japanese Canadian, how they were treated unfairly by the Canadian government, okay, during this time period. Okay, again, they were forced to move away from the British Columbia West Coast and they had to live inland in the British Columbia interior. Their husband was separated from the family. The Canadian government took the properties and sold them so that they could fund the war efforts. Okay? Yes, so there's more information on this article called The Silence is Broken. It's in your textbook. The Silence is Broken on page 15. Okay? And it talks more about how the Japanese Canadian citizen, again, like I said, were treated unfairly. Okay, treated unfairly during this time period. All right, so okay. I think I'm gonna stop it right here for today, okay, class? Don't want to continue too much farther. But yes, I'm gonna go over assignment 5 questions, questions that we talked about for today. Okay, so hang on with me, okay, class, for just a few more minutes. We're almost done. Okay, again, please, you can now start assignment 4. Okay, assignment 4 can be completed right now. And you can also start assignment 5 too, as we talked about it just now. Again, another short assignment out of 10 marks. Okay, we will finish this portion of our lesson on Thursday, okay? But yes, assignment 5, question number 1 asks, why did the Canadian government uh, focus attention on its Japanese citizens following the bombing of Pearl Harbor? Why did the Canadian government focus its attention on the Japanese citizens following the bombing of Pearl Harbor? Okay. Question number 2. Give specific details about the mistreatment Japanese Canadian endure from the Canadian government following the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Okay. Keyword here, mistreatment. Okay, we just talked about today how they were treated unfairly. Okay, so give some details, provide some examples. Okay. Again, if you read that article on page 15 entitled "The Silence is Broken," that will help, especially in terms of this question, in terms of question number 2. Okay, and I think that's it. Yeah. Okay. So yes, assignment 14, the whole assignment can now be completed. You can start assignment 5 on question number 1 and a question number 2. Okay, so try to at least finish assignment 4 before Thursday's class. Okay. Yes, we will continue looking at Japanese Canadian during the Second World War and how World War II ended on Thursday. Okay. Before we wrap things up and call it a night, are there any questions, class, about what we talked about today in terms of Canada, its government, and its involvement during the Second World War? Does everything make sense so far, class? Delilah, Lillian, and Rosaline? Perfect. Good. And thank you so much for joining tonight's class over in Waterman and Fort Hope. Okay. So again, yes, I'm going to stop it right here for today's class. I will see everyone again on Thursday as we continue looking at this topic. Okay, but in the meantime, please work on assignment 4. Okay, if you have any questions or any difficulties as you're working, let me know. Again, feel free to add me as a friend on Facebook or email me. Okay, so Lillian and Rosaline, you should have your assignment 1 and 2 marks. Just ask your DEC. If they don't have it, tell your DEC to let me know, and I will provide it for you. Okay. Other than that, again, thank you so much, class, and everyone joining. This is WASA, PLAR History and Geography. Again, my name is Jonathan. I am your teacher for this course, and I'm going to stop talking right now and say good night, and I'll see everyone on Thursday. Thank you.